that's being a mess. All right. So it is currently Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. Still working on the idea of trying to break the silence. So I wanted to try to resume the part 3 I was working on yesterday, and I'm completely exhausted as usual. It's after work, December 10th, 2024, which means I'm basically good for going to bed. I get up in the morning, have some coffee and some saltine crackers because that's what I can eat now. I guess that's an improvement on the grocery bill. So that part's good. I work 9 hours, logged into work for 9 hours, I should say. There's the customary breaks and the lunchtime, but it's still, it's a 9-10 hour day. And after that's over, I basically am good to go to bed, and that's about it. But I wanted to try to resume. The part 3 from yesterday. Because this device just ran out of memory space and it just cut out. So I was talking about how some people are very fixated on the financial loss, as the individual proven guilty of the abuse is getting paid out of my income. The individual proven guilty of the abuse is getting paid because in America, the real way to get by in life and to profit is to lie and perpetrate abuse by proxy scams and get paid by the non-abusive parental victim. That is a far more lucrative career path than actually having a job. So, but there are people out there that believe the financial loss is the crux of the matter. And maybe that would feel true if I was much younger and healthier, perfectly healthy, and I had a future. In reality, I remember when I was like kindergarten age, first grade age, kindergarten age pretty much, and I hit that first flare up of the arthritis when I was in kindergarten age. And all I could do is very painfully limp, hobble-ish, kind of crawl out to the curb in front of my parents' house and sit down on the curb and watch my friends play because I was in a flare up, medically arthritis. Um, One of my sisters was the youngest recipient of two artificial hips from the Mayo Clinic. And although she was never tested for this particular genetic syndrome because she didn't want to, I strongly believe she had it because she had the ankylosing spondylitis, which fused her back and her hips and caused her to need hip replacement surgery on both hips as the youngest recipient through the Mayo Clinic. So those were the first signs for me that I was too young to understand that something was terribly wrong. But I was too young to understand, really too young. I had no clue. I probably figured all little kids had times like that. It was just really painful and I couldn't play with my friends. I could barely walk. And I couldn't stand up for long periods of time either. And before my 15th birthday, my entire immune system crashed. And I had another huge flare up, and it was more than just arthritis. It was also severe arthritis flare up, but it was more than that. It was a whole autoimmune crash. I had a lot of opportunistic infections and whatnot. And I went in remission from that at age 19. Remission was not instantaneous, but it was a good start at age 19. And in my early 20s, I was able to go to college and then go to university. At the time, when I was in college and university and stuff like that, even though the topic I was studying in college and university should have clued me in on certain disorders and whatnot, it really didn't understand the prevalence of it through any of the years of my schooling. And I didn't, I was very separate from my classmates. I continued living on the ranch, very rural, very, in many ways, sheltered, despite one sister being a good sister and the other sister being a sicko. But they were much older than me, and I didn't have continuous contact with the one that was a sicko. And I always believed when I met a terrible person that that was just that person. It wasn't reflective of most people. I really, really believed that through and through. And so I was terribly naive and terribly old fashioned. And my whole viewpoint on getting married, having a family, and these different things was based on very old fashioned, traditional, so naive ideas about how people behave and what the ceiling is on perverse and deranged behaviors. I just didn't realize that there is quite literally no ceiling. There's no ceiling. There's no end. And I didn't realize how the masses out there are incapable of any critical thinking. That really didn't hit home. If I would have known, I think, I hope I would have been smart enough to never date, never get involved, never marry. And then I would be fine. However, I was not smart enough. So, fast forward to now, the end. And as certain individuals focus all on the loss of money, the reality is it's a lot more than the loss of money. It's a total demolition of my physical health. It's a total acceleration of permanent damage and arthritis flare ups and other flare ups. I mean, everything. Yeah, every part of my body that's relevant for seeing, walking, bending, going up and down stairs, lifting, opening things with my hands is quickly becoming so badly demolished. I have some good days where I could walk around, I could walk and go up and down stairs, and I could clean things up, clean up after myself, for example. Um, could bend over and get back up again, pick things up off the floor, pick things up off of counters, open and close things, carry a trash bag. And I have days where I, can still do a lot more. I can still build things with my hands. I can still improve that skill and build tiny homes and things like that. But those days are becoming less and less. Those days are becoming rapidly less and less. And then there's the exhaustion. And this was before I could no longer eat normal food. This was way before that. This exhaustion to where after work I can't really do anything but just go to bed. Typically I just go to bed. I can't do anything physically anymore. So after he cleans me out financially for more years than I can work because of the decline of physical health, and if I can't continue to pay for rewarding the abuse, then I will just be put in prison and further treated like I'm the perpetrator. So that's one aspect. And that's an important aspect because you don't have any quality of life. You don't have any reason to be alive at all, forever and ever and ever, if you can't do anything, and if you are in such pain, even sitting still or laying down, you are in such pain that it's unbelievable. That's not, it's not livable. So that's one thing. Then there's the isolation. I can't be around people because, for one, I have nothing to talk to them about that's relatable, because I'm the abuse by proxy victim and there's nothing I can do about it because my attorney lost on purpose and everything else. I mean, my attorney losing on purpose is a big part. And then there's the medical problems. And then, very glaringly, there's the danger to other people. If they get linked to me, then they will be stalked. They will be stalked. People do not enjoy being stalked. And he'll have me smear campaigned in front of them too, but they'll still be stalked. So, they will think I'm a monster. They will believe that I'm the one that perpetrated the abuses, that it's proof that I'm innocent and there's proof that he did it. But I will still be the one that they think did it all. And then they will be stalked. So that's another factor that's important. I am pretty well fine with being a hermit, but this is a level of isolation beyond that, knowing that if you have a friend, that person is going to be stalked, and it would be my fault because I know that that's going to be the result, and they wouldn't understand what it even means until it's happening to them. And then, of course, the smear campaign, and they would think I'm a monster when they get hit by the smear campaign. So that's another factor. And then the other part is that I cannot live in any kind of sedentary home. Cannot have an apartment, cannot have a house, cannot live in a trailer on a piece of land. I can't do any of that because if I do that, rent or own, it doesn't matter. If I rent, then the landlord will be stalked and get the smear campaign and, think I'm a monster. He will think I'm guilty of all the acts of abuse that the abuser is guilty of. And a landlord doesn't want to be stalked, believe me, does not want to be stalked, and will show me the door. For good reason. I mean, I understand. I wouldn't even be angry about it, upset about it at all. I mean, it's not fair for other people to be stalked and stalked by proxy and have this weirdo contacting them. It's just crazy crap. And I can't blame anybody else for not wanting to be subjected to it. I really can't. It's, if I own something, then the abusive freak show, master of abuse by proxy and lies, and smear campaigns and lies and abuse by proxy, the only skills the individual has masterclass level because other people apparently have no critical thinking skills. That's the only thing I can figure out. Um, he will think that he is entitled to anything I own. So I can't own anything. I don't even think I could own a nice motorhome if it was given to me for free. Because if I own a nice motorhome, then in his fantasy mind, he's going to think it's like these motorhomes, in the RV RV sales places that cost a lot of money, and that must mean I have a lot of money and I've concealed it and I've, blown it on this motorhome so that I can have a fairy tale vacation life and giggle all over and have a good time. And in his warped mind, probably have a boyfriend or new husband that I'm concealing and all this nonsense, absolute nonsense. And he will feel entitled to go to court and say that, he needs to have his money out of that mobile motorhome. He needs to have his money out of that. And if history repeats itself, with history does indeed repeat itself over and over again in this situation, I would just be forced to sell it and give him the money, um, and then have nothing. If I get a piece of land, it doesn't matter how ratty it is. He's going to say that, he's entitled to his share of that. And if I put anything on it, even if I do it myself with my own hands, he's going to say, there's property improvements. And he's going to want his share of it. And in his mind, he's going to think it's worth all kinds of money. And, history repeats itself. I'm going to have to either give the whole thing to him or sell it and give him the money. And when I built with my own hands and my own sweat and my own money to build it and everything else, and the fact that he never lived there, he never visited there, he never had any part of that, he never contributed to it at all. Those are things that are supposed to matter if there's justice, but in this situation, those things don't matter. And he has already tried to do that very thing. He has already tried to do that very thing. He tried to take a condo that my sister had taken back and actually was all the way through the foreclosure process during the 4 hour court joke. Um, I didn't even know it was in foreclosure status. I had no idea. I was never notified. And it's my understanding that there had been a second mortgage on that, and the person she got it from was not permitted to sell it unless that second mortgage was paid off. And it wasn't. And I was not aware of that. She was not aware of that. And ended up putting it all the way through foreclosure process without me being notified again. But that didn't stop him from going to court and trying to take it. Even though he never paid one single penny towards it, not one single penny. He never lived there. He never spent the night there. And visiting there was only when he would catch me there because I couldn't have the kids at the house because everything had to be quieter than, so quiet you couldn't hear a pin drop because he was working, which, was really nonsense. He was not working, but kids couldn't make any noise when they were little. So we would either have to stay in the car and just go to stores and stay in the car in between, or, sometimes I would take them to the condo and let them play and watch kid appropriate, movies. And he would, if he found us, he would bang on the door so hard the walls would shake, and he'd keep doing it until I opened the door, and then he would walk in walk really fast from room to room to room, open up all the closets, cupboards, and everything, all the doors, grab the kids, walk out, say, how dare I? The place looked too nice. Why didn't I make his place look nice like that? And I was never seeing the kids again, and he'd walk out. That was his contribution to the condo. And then I would have to stay, you know, whenever he cooled down, I would have to stay in the car or go to stores and stay in the car with the kids, and when he couldn't have them in the house. So that was all weekends, all holidays, and stuff like that when I wasn't at work. When I was at work, I paid for the kids to have daycare. I paid for the diapers, I paid for the pull-ups, I paid for the formula, I paid for the baby food and everything else. I paid for their clothes and their shoes. I paid for all of that. I paid for all of that until 2012-ish, right before he did that scam, when he put them in a daycare center that was too expensive and I couldn't afford it. And then he did the 2012 scam, and I already talked about what I found after that. And the other property he tried to take, like keeping up with his fun and games, lawyers and supervised visit and court and everything else, is free. He tried to take a rural property that was purchased after he was long gone, years after. He was not in the picture. I was not with him. We were not together. He never visited there. He never contributed in any way, shape, or form. All he did was to continue to lie through the whole state situation, like almost 5 years of the state situation. And then I already talked about what happened with that. And then he continued to lie for the next year or two while I did more supervised visits and paid out of pocket for first one attorney that I think was planning on just stringing it along until the kids were 18 and never going to court. And then the other attorney that lost on purpose. And then when we finally got to the 4-hour family court joke where the second attorney lost on purpose, he tried to get the condo and the other property, because of course everything he made me pay for to even get to that point, all those supervised visits, that was all free. The lawyer was free, right? Lawyers are free. I'm being sarcastic. And when he found out that I didn't have the property anymore, well, then he started stalking the person that bought it. Started stalking that person. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. So that's what would happen if I ever bought anything. He would just drag me to court and demand to take it, and they would give it to him. I'm truly wondering, even when I live in the vehicle, which I'm getting ready to do, I'm wondering two things. I'm wondering how many times he's going to send people out to break into storage unit, because I'm 100% positive that's going to happen, unfortunately. And I'm kind of stressed. I'm really stressed about that, actually, because I don't have anything else. There's nothing in there worth money. Doesn't There's no money, but it doesn't matter. He's going to do it anyway. And, how many, you know, police departments is he going to light up, and who knows what else, to help him stalk me? And then if he decides the vehicle I have isn't ratty enough, maybe he'll just go to court and say I need to sell it and give him the money. because that's right up his alley. That's what he does. But anyway, another consequence is, being permanently homeless because of that. And I think that that is as important as the money lost. And then the other thing is my family's been stolen from me. My children were stolen, my family was stolen, and my children are being destroyed in every way possible, including ways that they could not begin to understand. There's severe parental alienation, it's maxed out. There are all the other forms of abuse, and there's the other stuff that I talked about, and it will be an absolute miracle if the things he has not done to them does not lead to severe medical illness, such as cancers and whatnot, in one or both of them, or death. It will be a miracle. And since he will continue doing that to them, and they will continue to go along with it because they're oblivious and brainwashed and unreachable. And because I have no right to speak up against it, because he slandered me and smear campaigned me and perpetrated the abuse by proxy, so I am labeled as some nutcase, which is an interesting fact in of itself. I really didn't know a nutcase was a good candidate to hold a job and pay the bills, his bills. Didn't realize that's what happened when you're cuckoo. I thought if you're that cuckoo, you actually need a lot of support. That's what I thought. And apparently, I don't need any support. I need such an opposite of that, to the tune of what I just described. Permanently, it's been going on for a decade now, literally. A lot of the other abuse longer than a decade, almost 2 decades. And somehow, cuckoo means I can still walk the line and just be a real good worker drone and hand over the money. That's what cuckoo means. Without any help, without any care, without any counseling, without any medication for being cuckoo. That's a new kind of cuckoo. Uh, Top super stable performer. If you're a super stable performer in adult world, you're cuckoo. Just want everybody to know that. That's what cuckoo means. Now, it is true that I'm reaching the point, and I'm 98% there, where I can't clean up after myself anymore, because most of the time I can't walk, I can't bend over and pick things up, I can't carry a trash bag most of the time anymore. So it's getting there. It's getting there fast. And that physical damage that's going on, that's forever. And so that's why this is a whole lot more than just money. I don't know that anybody could understand that, because so many people think it's just money that's being taken from me. It is an incredible spit and crap in the face that money is being taken from me and paid to literally reward abuse. Of course. But there's a whole lot more to it than that. A whole lot more. And hopefully this video worked and it actually recorded, and hopefully it's more understandable with this video. Thanks a lot for whoever may listen to this someday. Over and out.